God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob.
Welcome back to my house. Yes, ben-Emmett here. Only available on YouTube. The Torah Watchman Show. Bar none, the very best, the most unique presentation that you can find anywhere on YouTube. Why? Because I'm the most unique Hasidic Orthodox Jew that you could ever meet. I have a story that you could write a book about and people still would not believe it. I would probably have to make it a pop-up book for children to be able to see the reality, right? Anyway, all kidding aside, tongue-in-cheek, I am a simple Jew, right? Simple Jew, but to provide you the simple truth, the Emmett truth, yeah. The title of this Torah Watchman show.
The Jews of Mogilev is the title of this Torah Watchman edition. This is very historically significant because what's going on in the world today. You know, everyone's fascinated about what's happening between the conflicts between Ukraine and the Russian Federation. This has been a long-going conflict, literally going back to, I would say, the 11th, 12th century. Ivan the Terrible, leading up to Catherine the Great, actually the Empress II, and around the 17th century. Ukraine, as we know it today, was actually under the Russian Empire. And the Russian Empire has gone through many different forms, invading territory, different monarchies rising and going out of power. And of course, the Jews were caught in the middle of all of this, okay? So what we're going to talk about is Mogilev of Belarus, or Belarus as it was known. Now, the community of Mogilev was actually the capital of something known as the Mogilev district in Belarus. In the 14th century until about 1772, Mogilev was part of the Poland-Lithuania, I guess you could say, confederation, okay? So this is before the Russians actually moved in during this time. So one of the largest, most important was Belarus. The Mogilev community was founded during the 16th century by Jews who leased a collection of custom duties. Essentially, they paid lease and rental fees for use of the land to grow crops, take care of cattle, sheep, or whatever. They were leasing land from other Gentile hosts, okay? The first of these was Michael Josephic in 1522. This is one of the czars that were in place here that was the leasing authority or constable. So during the 1580s, one of the most prominent Jewish merchants of Lithuania, Ephraim B. Jaramil, lived in Mogilev and leased the customs duties. In 1585, the Christian population requested King Stephen Batory to prohibit the settlement of Jews in Mogilev. Although the king agreed, the order was not carried out, and the Jews continued to live in town. There was an ongoing dispute between Christian authority and Jewish authority of the same land. Okay, both wanted to access to real estate. Both wanted to, of course, to take care of their families. They wanted to make a profit in mercantile exchange during that time. But everyone was caught between, trying to get along with their neighbor, religious disputes. Some people really, really did not like the Jews living next to them, next door. Some people were more tolerant, neutral. And of course, when you had different kings and different monarchies established and different authority figures, different czars and people of that nature, the Jews had more or less, their life was thrown up in the air multiple times. Now, there's a lot of history here, beginning in the 14th century to the 17th century. I'm going to try to provide a brief synopsis of this without getting too much detail. It's a lot of information here. So the struggle between the town people and the Jews of Mogilev continued throughout the 17th, 18th centuries. The town people disputes, civil disputes, probably accusing the Jews of misdeeds and things of that nature. There was no judge, there was no magistrate or whatever that was ruling fairly. Essentially, the people that were in control of Mogilev during that time wanted the people to settle their disputes locally. So in 1626, King Sigismund III Vasa granted letters patent to the town confirmed by King Ladislas IV in 1633, in which it was stipulated that all the Jews must move into the street where the synagogue stood. This is the first establishment of an Eruv within Mogilev for the Jews, within the radius of walking to the synagogue, literally, because Jews walk to synagogue each holy Shabbos. They don't drive, they don't operate carriage or horses. All the horses are stable. So this actually worked out pretty well because they established a Jewish enclave there. So on Rosh Hashanah 5406, which is approximately 1645, the town people led by the mayor attacked the Jews. So again, you can imagine the beginning of the Hebrew New Year, the Jews were greeted by their neighbors that, well, pretty much they had enough of the Jews living there. So they were run out of the community that they had founded. They were doing very well in the mercantile financial exchange markets and some land too. They were leasing everything. They didn't own anything, okay? And then only to be run out of the area that they positioned them in Iceland by their synagogue. All of this was going on continually. Okay, so when Mogilev was occupied by invading Russian armies in 1654 by the request of townspeople, Tsar Alexis Mikhailovich ordered the expulsion of the Jews. Okay, so the Tsar was very intolerant to the Jews, very anti-Semitic, and he wanted to deal with these civil disputes. Okay, so I guess the ruling Christians there, people that were not Jewish, had more political influence with the Tsar than the Jews did. That lived pretty much more isolated to themselves. Okay, so the houses were to be shared equally between the municipality and the Russian. So essentially what this means, folks, is that the area was broken down between Jews and non-Jewish areas. You had essentially the equivalent of apartment kind of complexes and duplexes and things like that, where you had half the house for Jews and the other half was not Jewish. Okay, this is going on in Mogilev around 1655. Now the Russian commander drove the Jews out of town and ordered their massacre. Okay, I don't know how extensive this massacre was. I believe it was limited, but the thing is, I would imagine the Jews that were resisting all this shifting around back and forth were probably put to death. So those Jews who remained became apostates. So you had a difference between observant Jews that were less tolerant to change than those that were more reform-minded and secular, not Zionists per se, and essentially wanted to blend in and survive. Okay, so there's a brief period of time where Jews accepted baptismal agreements and everything else for their children just to survive. Okay, so in 1656, John the Eighth, I believe, Casimir granted letters of patent to the town. Okay, you hear about letters of patent. These are official seals, stamps, and kingly seals and things like that given, or ordinances permissions to do certain things. So according to which the Jews were forbidden to live within the walls of the city and to build houses or maintain shops there. So literally, the Jews were pushed to the suburbs or the outskirts. They did not benefit from walled cities that kept out wild animals, invading tribal people, Slavs or whatever. They essentially were kicked out of the main walled city. That's how it was. There was also a blood libel in Mogilev in 1692. In 1736, King Augustus III confirmed the earlier letters of patent of John II Casimir, adding that further anti-Jewish restrictions were in place. Okay, restrictive orders on settlement and occupations were later reissued, but were not applied in practice. Okay, so the threat of punishment, the threat of retaliation was there, but in practice, pretty much as long as the people could get along and settle their local disputes between one another, I guess, the churches were more important than the synagogue. The synagogues were minimized and downsized. The Jews, essentially, if they lit Shabbos candles, they had to keep it to themselves, okay? This is a story of Jews living in Mogilev during the 17th century. So by 1748, the municipality reprimanded the town people because they themselves had helped the Jews to settle in the center of the town and engage in commerce. So people that actually were making money off the Jewish merchants were reprimanded for helping them, okay? So in 1766, there was a 642 poll tax. Pan-Jews were registered within the community of Mogilev and surrounding villages, so there was tax penalties applied here. Then the councils of the lands of Mogilev was subordinated to the Brest Lodovask, and a few gatherings of the council were held in Mogilev. The community developed to a considerable extent after Mogilev was annexed by Russia, okay? So there's a brief period in transition there. Polish and Lithuania controlled Christian environment there, probably Roman Catholic dominated areas. You had some czars there, you had some people in the villages there, but Russia actually annexed the land, and there was a brief period of stability there. It didn't last very long. The Jews of the annexed region were granted judicial autonomy, and the community in Mogilev was designated as a central community of the whole province. In other words, the Russians probably heard how well the Jews were working as merchants, mercantile exchange, trading, making lots of money in the markets there, and they probably wanted to continue this happening and benefit from it. Okay, maybe smart businessmen. I don't know. So next, the Jews played a principal role in Mogilev's extensive trade with Riga. That was very important. Memel, Konstanberg, and Danzig. Okay, and later with southern Russia. So there was trade. As long as the trade between the Jews and their non-Jewish neighbors was beneficial to the coffers of the Russian oligarchs, they permitted them more autonomy. Okay, so in 1847, there were 7,897 Jews registered officially in Mogilev. Okay, you registered by taking a census and paying taxes. The Jews were greatly influenced by Chabad Hasidim. Okay, you've heard so much about the Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneerson, who has set up Chabad houses throughout the world. Well, was the very beginning of Hasidim. By the end of the 18th century, there were several masculine among the wealthy merchants. In 1783, one of them, Jacob Hertz, addressed a memorandum to the Russian government in which he suggested that the Hadarim and the Talmud Torah schools, and Chabad set up all these things. In fact, one of these Talmud Torah schools, my wife's grandfather, when he was a young boy, actually attended yeshiva because of his brilliance. This hits home there and touches my family. This is why I have a personal interest in this story, and I hope that it's helpful for other people who have ancestral connections to Belarus and Mogilev. Okay? So continuing on, there was an interest to combine religious studies with secular studies. Okay? This is going on even today in the United States. My daughter goes to a private Jewish school, but it has to get any public funding. It has to have a secular component to it. Okay, so during 1860s and early 1870s, Pavel Pasach or Alarad who had studied in the local secondary school and later spread the ideas of Haskalah among the Jewish youth, lived in Mogilev. In 1870, the Malbim was invited to become a rabbi of the Mogilev. Okay, this is the first time I've actually noticed a rabbi figure formally ordained over a synagogue within Mogilev. Maybe I'm wrong, but of course this is probably a Chabad rabbi. So, but was compelled to leave the town as the masculine denounced authorities as disloyal to Russia. Okay, so I guess there were some political rumors or disputes with Russian authority, Polish or Lithuanian authority, relationships, business ties with Christians and things of this nature. He was expelled, unfortunately. Okay, so this actually began the gradual retaliation against the Jews and resentment against the Jews and the pogroms. This was October 1904. Okay, so if you've seen the great, wonderful movie, kind of sad but happy too, Fiddler on the Roof. This is the same time frame that the milkman, on the Fiddler on the Roof, how they were describing the story. So they were initiated by soldiers mobilized for war against Japan, believe it or not. These were paramilitary troops. They were the Russians were recruiting people among themselves, and they essentially was practicing the art of military combat against the Jews, and they were caught up in that. Okay, this is leading up to World War I. Okay, so Mogilev was one of the most important centers of the Bund and the Zionist movement. Very interesting. First time I've heard the word Zionist, because this is the direct influence from Theodor Herzl, the father of Zionism for Israel. Jews owned 219 small factories where 667 workers were engaged, and also 93 distillers. There were 400 small merchants and wholesalers, and most of the Jewish artisans, 244, were tailors. Okay, following World War I and the establishment of the communist regime. Okay, you hear about Lenin, establishment of the Russian Revolution. That's what we're talking about here. So the Jews were caught between all these political global events, threat of war and things of that nature. The consolidation of essentially of tyrannical power by Stalin, with very harsh prohibition against the Jews. In fact, Stalin is responsible for killing thousands of Jews. Okay, so there was a rather violent struggle between religious circles. Zionists, they did not get along. You hear about Satmar Jews, Hasidim during this time were anti-Zionists. Okay, they didn't believe they should not even think about going back to Palestine or Israel until the coming of the Mashiach, and there were religious discussions and debates that's ongoing even today. Okay. So we have that going on. So in 1924, 432 Jews were artisans, and many city Jews worked with 2,000 acres allocated by the government. Of course, there were a lot of secular Jews too. 2 7th grade schools and 1 fourth grade school existed in Mogilev In 1927, Jewish sections were opened in local law courts. Very interesting. Mogilev was the birthplace of people well known of blessed memory like Mordecai B. Hillel, Hakan, and Nachman Sirkin, and Yaakov Mazah. The writers are David Punsk and Elazar Zerafel, and the actor Aharon Miskin. Okay, just had to throw them in for historical figures in Judaism. The Germans now occupied the town of Mogilev in July 26, 1941. When the Germans came in, they were working with local conspirators. Essentially, the Christians were responsible for isolating and telling the Germans where the Jews were living. The Germans, the final solution out of Hitler, he was into the eugenics and the pure Aryan white supremacist race and things of that nature. Jews were considered as impure according to the Third Reich, and also Romanian gypsies and other people as well. Poles were not considered to be pure as well. Okay, so the Germans came in, occupied Belarus, the Soviet Union of that time. This is probably definitely after Lenin, there were infighting between Nazis and Soviets, and then the Jews got caught in the middle in Mogilev. Okay, and this is Belarus. Belarus. Okay, so I want to add some brief detail here. Please hold on here. I told you before I started, my wife's maternal great-grandparents were murdered in Mogilev, Belarus. But the time frame here was August 5th to the 7th in 1941. I already told you about July 26, 1941. During the July time frame, the first thing the Nazis were told to do, find every Jew that you thought that was able to resist you, someone who knew how to make bombs, people that wore glasses, people in academia, people who were teachers and scholarly, could speak well and read well. They were considered a threat, okay? So they were assassinated, shot to death, okay? I have found out recently that my wife's paternal great-grandfather, Menachem Mendel Agres, was probably shot to death on 5th of August in 1941. His blessed wife, his daughter and son, Shana and Beryl Agres, were assassinated, murdered between the 6th and 7th of August 1941. They were removed from their homes in Mogilev. This is before they actually had gas chambers, formal execution places, work camps, and all this. They took them out and to the wooded area near Pinsk and killed them. Okay, approximately 8,000 Jews were murdered. Just outside Pinsk. Subsequent creation of ghetto was followed. This is where I'm getting to here. So in September, another 337 were killed and a ghetto was moved to another place. So when the ghetto got too full of Jews, they moved them out and killed them, okay? And they buried the evidence. 113 Jews refused to move, were murdered. On October the 2nd to the 3rd, 2,208 children, women, and older persons were executed on the spot. So on October 19th, 3,600 Jews were killed. In November, another 3,726 Jews were murdered. The 350 skilled laborers who were put into a labor camp were killed by December 1941. Most of those who were hiding were discovered and murdered or later sent to the Shiroka camp in Minsk. You hear about the Minsk Jews, okay? It was estimated that there were about 7,000 to 10,000 Jews total in Mogilev by 1959. Yes, we jumped time from the Holocaust to show you. We went from probably 90-something% of all the Jews, not just in Mogilev, but Minsk and Pinsk and other areas in that district there, they were removed. They were executed, okay, murdered. After the war, the population built up to 7,000 to 10,000 by 1959. There was a synagogue there that was probably ancient, and it was closed down by the Soviet dictator of choice during that time and turned to a sports gymnasium. And there was one Jewish cemetery. So wrapping this up, when you talk about the Holocaust, you think about Auschwitz because you had this big towering monolith, building there. It's actually a relic of the past, and it's in Poland. Many tourists go there. We talk about Hayam Shoah. We talk about Holocaust International Remembrance Day. We speak about that. But we don't speak so much about Belarus Jews. I'm not sure. But they are very important to me personally. So, you should always talk about what you know and talk about what touches your heart and talk about things that you're socially connected to. And that's why I wanted to share with this. I want to tell you that it was no way for these SS Nazi death squads to be able to kill the Jews and as efficiently as they did and accomplished in doing this without local conspirators in Belarus. There were also evidence, I had to throw this in too, Ukrainians were helping the execution process in Belarus too, under the leadership and affiliation of an individual by the name of Stefan Bandera in 1941. Well, God bless you. Shalom Aleichem. I hope this touched you. Please share this information out to other people. Our Jewish history is very important because it was not just Jewish history. We were living along with non-Jews too, and we didn't get along very well, okay? These adversarial things are still going on today. Anti-Semitism did not happen yesterday. It's ongoing today, and it's getting worse, okay? Anti-Semitism was increasing to alarming levels in Ukraine before the Russian Federation invaded and attacked Ukraine. That's just one important note. So take care. Y'all, ben-Emmett signing out. The Torah Watchman Show. Please share the wealth of knowledge to everyone you know. God love you. I'm the light on the hill. I'm the watchman there. They will not be silent. I am not politically correct. God bless you. Take care.